In this exercise, we'll use our drawing tools to create a concrete slab or floor at the first level. So in order to do this, once again, we need to be underneath Structure, and then come over here, and we're going to need to find our slab tool. And we can find that over Foundation right here. And we're just going to select a structural foundation slab. Next, once that activates, we can come over here, and we can see that we have different thicknesses of slab that we can use. For this example, I'm just going to keep it with the default. I'm just going to use a 6-inch foundation slab. Next, we need to draw out the perimeter of our slab or our concrete floor that's going to be inside of this area. So in order to do that, we can come over here and we have a choice. We can either use one of our different drawing tools, such as just draw lines or draw a rectangular shape. But the thing that I usually like to do is use the Pick Walls tool if that's available to me. So I'll go ahead and select on the Pick Walls tool. Next, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I can see where I'm picking. And I'm going to try to pick on the inside face of the wall. If you pick toward the outside, it'll try to draw this to the outside of the wall. But in this case, we just want it to be on the inside of our foundation wall. So just pick a spot right on the inside face of that wall and click. And you'll kind of be able to see if it's there because you'll see that purple pink line right there on the inside face of the wall. Now go ahead and let's just do this for all 4 sides of this. All right, so now we have this rectangular shape. Next, all we have to do is come up here to the big green check mark and select on the big green check mark. It's going to ask us a couple of different questions now. The first one is, would you like the walls to go up to this floor's level to attach to its bottom? Now, from time to time, we might say yes to this. And what it would do is if there's any walls that are going to be directly underneath this floor that we just created, then those walls will be flush with the bottom of the floor. And in this case, I don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and say no to this. This next one says the floor/roof overlaps the highlighted walls. And it's really talking about these blue lines we're seeing around the outside here. Would you like to join the geometry and cut the overlapping volume out of the walls? In this case, it might be a little bit questionable as to whether or not we should or should not do this. But so that you can see it, we're going to go ahead and say yes to this. Now, right offhand, it doesn't look like very much has happened, but something pretty big actually has. If we take a look at this in a 3D view now, by coming up here to our default 3D view icon, we can now see that, yes, indeed, we have this floor and it's put in place right here at our level 1. It's also sitting on the inside of where our foundation walls are at. If it's a little bit hard to see, we can always come down to our visual styles and we can turn on shaded, which is going to give us a little bit of color, and we can see where this goes. One other thing to know is that one of those questions we answered yes to, which was cut the material out of it. Well, when it says, do you want to cut the material out, what it's really going to do is this. And if we come down here to where this colored box is, where we changed the graphic display options, turn this to wireframe now. Now we can see through it. And we can see what it's really done is it's actually cut the material out of each of these, and I'll call them column locations or pier locations. And in fact, it's even cut the material out right here, sort of lowering it down. So we now have everything is actually sitting on top of our concrete floor or our concrete slab that we just poured into place. You'll find that slabs and floors are very similar elements, but slabs are entities that are designed to be on grade, which means on the earth, and are often load-bearing entities. Thus, they have structural properties and can be used by structural analysis software in analyzing buildings and their loads. So that's kind of the difference between using a floor tool and using the slab tool. In this exercise, we use it more as a floating slab, which means it doesn't really hold up any weight, just to illustrate how it can be drawn.